Moving on, Israel's incoming ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, has now taken off with his family to begin his new mission at the United Nations headquarters in New York. But what challenges await him? Outgoing UN Ambassador Danny Danon joins us to explain the challenges that this position faces. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, after 5 years in which you represented Israel in a sometimes hostile arena, what do you think are the major challenges that Israel faces on the world stage?
So the UN is still a hostile arena, but we are not isolated. When you look at the numbers, we have diplomatic relations with 160 countries out of the 193 members of the UN. Many more, we have quiet diplomatic relations. I myself traveled to the UAE, to Morocco, to other destinations, and it's still done quietly. I think the challenge is to take those relations and actually make them public. And it's not easy, but I think it will happen in the near future. And also there is the challenge of COVID-19. Today, the UN is not really functioning. The UN General Assembly will not meet this coming September. The leaders will send their presentation by videos. So it will not be the same, but we will have to continue to push against Iran, the nuclear deal, the arm embargo that the Security Council will have to decide about it in October. So the issue of Iran will always be there.
All right, now speaking of Iran, actually one of the major challenges that you faced during your tenure, as you just mentioned, is the P15 or P5+1 rather, JCPOA nuclear deal with Iran. Do you think that the UN has done enough to stop Iran from acquiring weapons that can be turned against Israel?
Absolutely not. And you know that our position in the US, we were not happy with the JCPOA. But what we are telling our colleagues today, those who supported the agreement, look at the agreement that you signed. They are not fulfilling the agreement. So you have to take actions. You have to apply more sanctions. And I think we are seeing countries like Germany, for example, that are starting to shift to our direction. The decision of Germany to outlaw Hezbollah completely a few months ago, it is a good sign. And I hope that other countries like the UK and France will follow Germany and will understand that they have to behave differently with the Iranian. You cannot appease them.
All right, now another controversial issue that's on the world stage, the Israeli annexation of Judea and Samaria, which was supposed to be announced, but now it's moved to an unknown date, among other things due to the lack of support from the United States, actually, and other countries in Europe. Do you think that Israel should continue to insist on implementing this move?
So first, I want to correct you. I don't call it annexation. I call it applying Israeli sovereignty over the Jewish communities or part of the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. It is a bold decision to take. We have done it in the past on the Golan Heights. Menachem Begin did it in 1981. Levi Eshkol did it in 1967 regarding a part of Jerusalem. So the government of Israel will have to decide about it. It's not easy nowadays because of the COVID-19 and the economical crisis, but I think history will judge us because we will overcome the crisis. But if we will take that decision, it will be an historical decision, and that is for the Israeli government to decide. And then we can go to our allies in Washington and ask them to support us. But at the end of the day, the decision should and will be taken in Jerusalem.
All right, now I want to kind of come back to international relations because during your tenure as ambassador, you were actually the first Israeli to be elected to a permanent standing committee at the United Nations, and later you served as vice president of the General Assembly and head of the Innovation, Technology, and Science Forum. How do you think Israel's identity as the startup nation has helped in the political field?
So I think we are in a great place today, and we should do more. By the way, we are very proud of being a startup nation. We are all proud of the innovation and technology. I think we can help more. We speak a lot about Tikkun Olam, but we don't do enough. Today, Israel is not a small country. It's not a weak country anymore. And we have the capabilities to help developing countries in Africa, in Asia, Central America. I want to encourage the government to invest more and to actually send our experts to help those communities. First of all, it's the right thing to do. And also diplomatically, it will help us in the long run.
All right, now rumor has it that your next job, I want to move into the future, will be as ambassador to Australia. Is there any truth to this?
So I heard a lot of offers since I landed in the Ben Gurion airport. My dear friend, Ambassador Nikki Haley, gave me a great piece of advice. She told me, when you come back to Israel, take your time. Don't make any declarations. Don't make any decisions. Take your time. That's what I'm doing now. I'm catching up with my family and my relatives. So I will take my time, and I think in a few weeks I will decide. But I can tell you that I will stay involved in public life. I come back with the knowledge, with the experience, and I'm eager to continue with the public service.
All right, so speaking of this public service and your experience, Gilad Erdan, again, your successor, he just took off for New York. What is the best advice that you can maybe give him as he's filling your shoes?
So I met my friend Gilad, and I told him to be open-minded, to speak with everybody. Some of my best friends are from countries that we do not have diplomatic relations yet. So you have to be open-minded to build bridges. You never know when you will need those people. And the fact that I brought to Israel more than 100 UN ambassadors, and today they are personal friends, it's going to help Israel also in the future, because many of those ambassadors are already ministers of foreign affairs, head of state. So I told him, be nice and make a lot of friends.
All right, Ambassador Danny Danon, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.